Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to do sun salutations. We're going to do, or I'm going to lead very basic sun salutations over and over and over again. I'm going to encourage you with each round to focus on a different part of the body. So as we go through these basic sun salutations, I do invite you to explore either that very basic sun salutation and feel the subtle shifts between what you're feeling by focusing on different parts of the body as you go through the same motions. However, if you have a way, let's say this sun salutation, we're focusing on hips, and you're like, ooh, I really know a variation of this that just gets my hips just the way I need them, feel free to do that. I encourage you to listen to your body, know the difference between damaging pain sensation versus an uncomfortable pushing outside of your norm that's actually going to be beneficial. So really, this is what yoga is all about, is listening to yourself and knowing what's going on in yourself. So please listen. Let's get started with our pranayama, our activity, our ritual that brings us inward and allows us to make this time all about listening to ourselves. So we're going to do that with a breathing exercise, and let's do this one today. We'll take one hand to the heart or chest and one hand to the belly. And as we inhale, I want you to expand the belly only. Now that the belly's expanded, let the chest rise as well. As you exhale, let the chest recede only. After it's all the way down, then let the belly recede. So I'm going to exaggerate this a little bit. Inhale, belly, chest. Exhale, chest, belly. Inhale, belly, chest. Exhale, chest, belly. So your belly is expanded the majority of the time. Go ahead and take it at your own pace of breath. Go ahead and come back to the natural breath. Keeping yourself in that focus of our breathing, we'll slide right into our sun salutation. So make your way to standing. This first sun salutation on each side is going to be about the breath. So I'll cue our breathing. That is traditional to go with these movements. Because we're going to do so many sun salutations, I'm going to take a very basic vinyasa, that kind of challenging arm portion. So feel free to follow me or do a more traditional, more vigorous one. But focusing on the breath, we'll inhale, arms up. Maybe the chest lifts. Exhale, forward. Breathe in, half lift. Exhale down. Inhale, step the right leg back, low lunge. Exhale, left leg back. Inhale, get longer through the torso. Exhale, lower yourself down to the floor, however you would like to do so. Inhale, lift the upper body up away from the mat using your back muscles. Exhale, we'll do child's pose. Inhale here. Exhale, downward facing dog. We're going to take a few deep breaths here in dog. Next, inhale, come up high on the balls of your feet, stretching your toes back. Exhale, bring your right knee forward, set it down between the hands or grab it and pull it between the hands. Inhale, get longer from back heel up through the top of the head. Exhale, step together, forward fold. Inhale, arms up, stand all the way up. Hands to heart space. Continuing with our breath awareness on the second side, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, back down. Left leg steps back this time. Inhale. Exhale to plank. Inhale, get longer through the torso. Exhale, lower down. Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Bhujangasana or upward facing dog. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, downward facing dog. Deep breathing. Next, inhale, come up on the balls of the feet, stretching the toes back. Exhale, bring the left leg forward between the hands. Inhale, get longer from the back heel all the way up through the top of the head. Exhale, step forward, forward fold. Inhale, stand all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart space. Our next time through on each side, we're going to focus on warming up and range of motion through all the joints. So I encourage you to be curious and kind of shift through the movements. Feel those little squirms and angles that'll just help lubricate and relax the joints. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. We'll take a little bit longer in each pose so that we can play with it a bit. Inhale, your version of half lift. Exhale back down. Right leg steps back. And the left leg, find your plank. Make your way down to the floor. Inhale, heart lift. Exhale, press back, child's pose. And downward facing dog. Let's take our right leg up high behind us and swing it forward, low lunge. Forward fold. And all the way up. Hands to heart space. Next, inhale, bring those arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Breathe in, half lift. And take it back down. Left leg steps back. And the right. Exhale, lower the body down to the floor. Inhale, lift the heart. Now increase your range of motion here by intentionally really pushing your elbows back. And then child's pose. Downward facing dog. left leg high behind you. Swing it forward, low lunge. Step together, forward fold. And breathe it in, come all the way up. Hands to heart space. Let's start at the bottom and work our way up. So this time we go through, we'll work on our feet and ankles. Maybe you're focusing on strength. Maybe you're focusing on articulation or flexibility. Maybe you play with all three. Inhale, arms go up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, back down. The right leg steps back, pressing back through the back heel. Front foot pressing the arch into the floor to keep it totally flat. Take it back to plank. And lower yourself down through your version of Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, press back to child's pose, preferably with the tops of the feet on the floor to stretch out the fronts of the ankles. Inhale, bring it up to downward facing dog. Maybe you roll over the tops of the feet. Maybe both at the same time is a little intense, so you can do one at a time. But let those heels drop towards the floor. Press the left heel really down as the right leg lifts, gives it some extra press. Bring the right leg forward, low lunge. Forward fold. Bring it on up. Hands to heart space. Feet and ankles again as we do our second side. Arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Breathe in, half lift. Exhale, back down. Left leg's turn to step back. And back again. And this time I'm going to show you another way to do Chaturanga Dandasana, and that is to press through the toes, bending the elbows. You end up on the tops of your feet before you come down. Inhale up to Bhujangasana or upward, so this would be Bhujangasana with the thighs on the floor, or upward facing dog where your thighs are off the floor Tops of the feet are on the floor. Press back, child's pose. Downward facing dog. And what would it be like if you weren't trying to press your heels to the floor, but you were simply allowing your feet to be heavy? Letting them soften like you're about to fall asleep. And the weight is just growing more and more relaxed. Sinking into gravity. Pressing more deeply into the mat. And then we'll take our left leg up. Bring the leg forward, low lunge. Step together, forward fold. Breathe in, come all the way up. Now more than likely, you've been feeling the calves as well. Bring the hands to heart space. So let's bring our awareness to the calves, the soleus, the muscle under the calves, and the knees. So we're going to bring our awareness from the knees down to the ankles as we move through. Bring the arms up. And forward fold. You might notice that you can feel more calves here if you shift your weight more to the front of the feet. Breathe in, half lift. And back down. Take a big step back with your right leg. Think about lifting your back knee and keeping this front knee in line with your front toes. What would it feel like to intentionally try to pull the knee in? Because most of us, our knee will want to go out a little bit. However, if you're somebody who your knee is naturally trying to go in, what would it feel like to intentionally pull it out? Step back to plank. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift it up. Maybe you play with that upward facing dog, lifting your knees off the ground. Press back, downward facing dog. So our kneecaps are not hyperextended, they're not locked out. And the way I'm going to do that is by gently squeezing my quadriceps. So the fronts of my thighs are going to have a very small engagement to them, which lifts my kneecap up, which inhibits the locking out a little bit. So I'm both trying to lengthen the calves while not hyperextending. We'll take our right leg up high behind. Really feel that calf muscle lengthen. And bring the leg forward. Pull the knee in close to the chest. How much can you squeeze your belly with that thigh before setting the foot down? Step it forward, forward fold. Press down through the front foot to lift the other leg up. Breathe in, come all the way up to standing. Hands high overhead. And to heart space. Inhale, heart lift. And forward fold. Left leg's turn to step back first. Again, lifting the back knee, keeping this front knee in line with the front toes. Step it back to plank. And lower down. Inhale, lift up to Bhujangasana or upward facing dog. Press it back, child's pose. And downward facing dog. You want to feel something a little bit different. What would it be like to bring your feet all the way together? Oftentimes we have our hips about hip, or excuse me, we have our feet about hip width apart. What's the shift if we bring those feet all the way together? And then bring the left leg up high behind you. Swing it forward, low lunge. Bring it in close. Forward fold. Breathe in, come all the way up. Hands to heart space. Take a moment to breathe, and we're going to shift our focus upwards. So this is a big one. We're going to go hips, down the thighs. So quadriceps, hamstrings are the big ones, but we've got all these ab and adductors as well. So imagine from the navel down being really toned and sucking all of this in towards itself. Take the arms up high overhead, lifting the heart away from it. Exhale, forward fold. Breathe in, half lift. So we're going to keep this pelvis tipped as far forward as we can, and then extend the spine. So maybe we do that with support, maybe without, if we've got the core strength to do that. But we've got these long hamstrings because it's like someone's trying to pull our tail upwards. Exhale, back down. Right leg steps back behind you. So we know all that foot and knee positioning, and now we're going to really engage our hamstrings and glutes by lifting that knee and thigh, at the same time driving our pelvis towards the front heel. Now for me, this makes my knee want to sneak out to the side, so I've got to engage it, pull it back in, using my inner thigh muscles. Step back to plank. There we go. So in this position, we have a slightly tucked pelvis that engages our abdomen. And lower down. Maybe you put your knees down, maybe you don't. Again, slightly tucked tail, lift the heart. So this one can be really, really good for stretching out the hip flexors, those big muscles that help pull our legs forward. We need to lengthen them back out, otherwise our low back hurts a lot. Press back child's pose. An optional change for our child's pose might be wide knees, so that we're getting some adductor stretch. And downward facing dog. So for this one, where we're focusing on upper legs and hips, I want you to play with adjusting your pelvis and the extension of your knees to feel out what we've got going on in here. You might even, if it feels good, to stretch the outer hips. You might drop one hip to get that side, vice versa. And then take the right leg up behind you. An option that I love for hip mobility is to do scorpion dog, bending the leg up behind you, reaching back. So really, again, opening up the front of the lower torso and hips. Of course, you can just be here with three-legged dog if you want to just see what it feels like to focus on hips without changing anything. And we'll bring the leg forward, low lunge. Lifting the back leg, sinking the pelvis towards the front heel. Step together, forward fold. Chances are your torso is a lot closer to the floor now than when we started. Inhale, come all the way up. Hands to heart space. Next inhale, take it up. Heart lift. Again, we're very sturdy and stable and drawn in towards the center from the navel down. Exhale, forward fold. Breathe in, half lift. Exhale, back down. Left leg's turned to step back. One thing to notice is if your heel back there is trying to drop to the side or do anything but be straight up, that's probably your hips trying to get out of a stretch that they don't really want to do because they don't normally do it, which also kind of means that you should probably lean into it and do it gently a little bit more. Step it back to plank. Slight tuck of the pelvis and lower down. Inhale, bring it on up. So Bhujangasana or upward facing dog can be quite challenging here because you do have this extreme shape here, wanting to tuck your tail anyway so that you're protecting your low spine. Press it back, child's pose. Again, I'm choosing to do the wide knee child's pose. And then downward facing dog. We'll take the left leg up high. Maybe you take it to that scorpion dog, reaching it behind you. Bring the leg forward, low lunge. Forward fold. Breathe in, come all the way up. Hands to heart space. For the next round, we're going to focus on the torso. So the spine all the way down. That's a lot. That's a lot of interesting moves and shapes that we can make. So kind of my general reminder here is make sure that we're engaging the core. We're imagining pulling the muscles towards the spine from all directions. They're coming towards the spine, and that'll help you to protect the spine as we're stretching into and being curious about different ranges of motion. So again, from the navel down, we've got this good solid core. I'm even kind of taking my rear end, squeezing it towards and down. Inhale, lift up. Our rib cage is tipping back and trying to lift up away from our pelvis. Exhale, forward fold. Let your head be heavy, lengthening the spine. Your arms can either be relaxed here, getting a gentle stretch to the sides of your torso, your lats, or maybe your shoulder blades are engaged and you're pulling your shoulder blades towards your rump. Both have their benefits. Inhale, half lift. So like I was talking about earlier, we've got a lot of strength coming in and pulling towards the spine. Even my low belly is really, really helping out on this one. And if it feels safe to do so, I can take away my extra support of my arms. And let it come back down. Feel the spine lengthen. My chin is a little bit tucked towards my chest just to accentuate the opening of the back of the spine. And take the right leg, step it back. So we've got all those foot things, all those lower body cues that we know now. Now let's imagine from the pelvis all the way up through the top of the head, we again have that lifting feeling like we did in half lift. Step it back to plank. All right, so slight tuck of the tail is going to help us engage our abdominal muscles. We're going to take our shoulder blades and put them in our back pockets so that we feel like we're a little bit broader across the shoulders. And lower down. Chaturanga Dandasana. Back muscles only. Lift your torso up. And once you've gone as far as you can with your back, press the hands down. So now it's an abdominal stretch or a front of the spine stretch. Unclench your butt cheeks. Press back, child's pose. I'm going to do wide knees again. That way it makes this next part even more intense. So to give a good stretch to my spine laterally, I'm going to walk my hands to the side. Again, you can choose to do a basic child's pose here. I'm going to remember which side I'm doing this to. I'm doing it to my left, so that next round I'll do it to my right. Back to the center of the mat, pressing on up for downward facing dog. All right, in this downward facing dog, we're going to think of lengthening the spine up and back. That's the energy direction, up and back. My armpits are going to encourage that by thinking about going towards my knees. Neck is long and heavy, and my shoulder blades are reaching towards my tail. This makes it look like my neck is extra long. Let's come up high on the balls of our feet and bring the right knee forward. Imagine pressing your thigh into your abdomen. So we're doing a little crunch here as the knee moves forward to get the foot between the hands. And then again, we have the opposite feeling. We just crunched in front. Now we're going to lift from the back. Forward fold. Breathe in, come all the way up. Hands to heart space. Solid from the navel down, lifted from the navel up, heart lift. And forward fold. Breathe in, half lift. Sturdy around the core, open through the shoulders. Use those back muscles to pull the shoulders away from your chest. Exhale back down. Left leg steps back. Low lunge. Remember, you can play with other things that you feel like might increase your range of motion or strength in that area. And then we'll step it back to plank. Opening across the collarbones, slight tuck in the abdomen. Breathe. Think about elongating the spine. And lower down to Chaturanga Dandasana. Heart lift, back muscles, arm assist. Stretch out your rectus abdominis, that's your six pack. And press back, child's pose. If you were following me in that variation, that's knees open. And I went over to the left side last time, so this time I'm going to go over to the right. Taking those deep breaths to accentuate this stretch naturally. Back to the center. And up to downward facing dog. Lengthening the spine by pressing the tail away, letting your head drop, and pressing your armpits towards your knees. Come up high on the balls of your feet. Use your abdominal muscles to pull your knees towards your navel and your navel towards your spine. So you're rounding the spine as you bring your weight forward over your hands until you can get your foot under there. Forward fold. Breathe in, come all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart space. The next portion of our body we're going to do is our shoulders through our fingers, and there's a lot that goes on in that space. You might have noticed that I've taken several different ways to get through this standing portion of arms up and arms down. I've had them wide, I've had them in front, I've brought them straight through the middle. Honestly, mostly it's so that I don't hit the lamp and the wall, and I'm just adjusting for those things. But those are all valid ways to express these arms and this range of motion of the shoulders. So I encourage you to play with those as we go through. We'll take our arms up overhead. Heart lift. Thinking about dropping your shoulder blades down towards your tail, and your shoulder blades are actually going to press the back of your rib cage forward and upward. And then take a dive down to forward fold. we'll play with a little bit different way that we can do our hands here. Let's take the back of our hands to the mat. So I'm going to step on my palm. This is going to do two things. One is going to be increase the stretch of my calves unless I really bend my knees to get out of it. The other is going to stretch the back of my wrists. So you get to decide how intense both of those stretches are going to be. I've heard this called gorilla. And come on back off of those hands. We'll do half lift. Maybe the hands support you. Maybe we play with shifting our arms in different ways. Maybe you do that with one arm at a time, or maybe you do it with both if you feel like you have the core strength for that. Exhale back down to forward fold. Step back with the right leg, low lunge. All right, so the main focus for arms for this one is going to be opening them away from the chest. So even if you have your hands down on the mat, there's still a difference between here and here, and I want you to feel it. If your hands don't meet the mat, feel free to get blocks or use your knee, but open the shoulders away from your chest. Take a step back to plank. Now you might have noticed that I have been fussing with my mat this whole time because my wrist has been giving me trouble today. So what I've been doing is putting a little bit of extra thickness under the palms of my hands and then putting the upper palm, where my fingers attach, down lower. And that way there's less angle for my wrist to go through right now when it's having trouble. So let's see, if we're back in our plank, that's one thing that we can adjust for our hands. Another is the inside of your elbow. So the part that gets pinched when you bend your elbow, we're going to turn that forwards without hyperextending. So they're pointed forwards, not pushing forwards. That way when we come down, we lower ourselves down, our elbows go backwards. All right, again, opening the chest, back muscles to lift, arm muscles press down just enough that our shoulders don't pop up, because if they come up, we've gone too far. We're going to pull them back down. Press back, child's pose. Since so far we've done all our child's poses with our arms overhead, we'll do a more traditional child's pose. We'll bring our hands down towards our feet. And here's the part where we get to stretch our upper back and let our shoulders fall to the ground. So everything I've just been telling you about pulling your shoulders away from your chest, we're going to give those muscles a rest now and let them gently stretch into gravity, letting our shoulders fall forward. All right, take those arms back up overhead, press up, downward facing dog. So for our downward facing dog, the insides of our elbows are going to face each other. We're pressing down through the knuckles of our fingers, and that's again going to be to help take the weight off our wrists. And distribute that strength throughout our hands, because everyone wants to be able to get the jar of peanut butter open every day. Come up high on the balls of your feet and bring the right knee forward. Set the foot between the hands. Open the chest. forward fold. Breathe in, come all the way up. Try a different way of bringing the arms up. And hands to heart space. Now in general, we think of this as more of a passive pose. Think of it as an active pose for your hands. Press the palms together, press the shoulder blades down and back, and see what that does to the whole upper core of your body. I can feel it all the way up into the base of my skull. Inhale, arms up, heart lift. Exhale, forward fold. Breathe in, half lift. Again, if you did something like one arm, make sure you do it to the other side now. And exhale back down. Left leg steps back, low lunge. Adjust your arms however you would like. And step back to plank. Press your way forward. Since we're focusing on the arms, really take your time to come down. And lift back up. Child's pose. Take whatever child's pose feels great for you. And then bring it up to downward facing dog. Come up on the balls of your feet and bring your left leg forward. Forward fold. Bring it all the way up. And hands to heart space. So I can see that my recording is going to turn off here in a moment. So I encourage you to do your Shavasana at this point. I'll see you next time. For my class who's here, we'll do that together now.